Welcome to the Business Champion Show, sponsored by KmarEducation.org. Get ready to dive into the vibrant world of local businesses with us. We're here to chat about all things growth, health, and productivity, straight from the owners and the employees themselves. Why should you listen? Because we're spilling the beans on what makes businesses tick in our community. From awesome success stories to practical tips, we've got the inside scoop to help you level up your game. So don't touch that dial and join the party. Here is your host, Mariette Kammerer.
Hello and welcome to The Business Champion. I'm your host, Mariette Kammerer. Today I will talk about what I learned from 40 years of self-employment. And let's get started because we have very limited time here. So in segment 1, nobody is coming to save you. In segment 2, people matter more than products. In our third segment, not everyone is meant to travel with you. And 4, reinvention never ends. And that's a fact. So let's get started. I'm your host, Mariette Kammerer, and you tuned into The Business Champion. When you're self-employed, you quickly discover there is no boss coming to fix things. There is no department to solve your problems. There is no company to create opportunities for you. So, you're your own boss and bottle washer. You solve your own problems or not. And you create your own opportunities for yourself. You become responsible for finding clients, solving problems, generating income, making decisions, recovering from mistakes. So, with those 5 points, you have a lot to do. There's a lot on your plate, trust me. And some of the business owners have families and children. It's very, very tough. And if your income just relies on you starting off learning all of this, it's very tough. Very, very hard. Now, at first, that can be very, very frightening. Eventually, it becomes empowering. Well, if you hang in there long enough, maybe after 3, 4, 5, 6 years, it might become empowering. So if normally the money runs out after the second year and people fold, and I've seen enough businesses. They bought an ice cream shop, a franchise, spent thousands of dollars. Even grandpa put in his money. And you know what? It wasn't for them. They were in business less than 6 months in a good going location next to some big box stores. So they had great traffic there and everybody loves ice cream. So anyway, but the main thing is you learn to trust yourself. That's the main thing. When you have gone through some valleys and then you experience the peaks and the valleys and the peaks and like a roller coaster, up and down and up and down. So if you hang in there long enough, you learn to trust yourself. And a lot of people just don't have the stamina they don't have the money, they don't have the creativity. And if things don't go right or continuously not to go right, they just give up. Well, it wasn't for them or it was somebody else's fault. But to learn to trust yourself is the most important thing. What happens when business slows down? Well, what happens? All businesses slow down, except food stores. Food is food, gas, it's mandatory. Every business slows down. So, and my business, I put together the past 20, 30 years really, personal growth. And that's a very small percentage of people that want to go on this journey. Other people, they're wishing it and they start something and they give up. So, and in this personal growth business, it's a very hard business. So I'm glad I experienced it. and so I can go on to the next stage of my life. I learned resilience. Yes, all my life. Resilience comes in different forms. After being resilient, when I had the stroke, I learned to walk again. Resilience is really, that's the key. You learn to keep moving even when things are uncertain. Yes, sirree. Yep, that's really what it is. Let me repeat it. You learn to keep moving even when things are uncertain. So the lessons that we learn, self-employment teaches responsibility at a very deep level. Now just picture you're on a roller coaster with your best friend or by yourself. Let's say you enjoy the roller coaster by yourself. And first, you climb up, you climb, and then you go down the spiral, right? And, you have the ups and downs, and you cannot match your rhythm with the calendar. The calendar on the wall has a total different rhythm the first of the month. Well, that's not how it works. I'm saying many times you have to ignore the first of the month in order to really keep going. It's tough. It's a very, very tough road. And that's not for everybody. I want you to know that. Money is spent very quickly, but hanging in there, and keep thinking about, okay, I didn't get that result. What have I done? What can I do differently? And so forth. It's a constant monitoring your success or your failures constantly. And then, of course, when you have a business that relies on having employees, well, my business did not. I had subcontractors, but they're not employees, as you know. So I didn't have to worry about payroll for somebody else. Oh my God. And I would have given up a long time ago, because that's tough. It's tough for yourself to meet all your obligations and everything. But when you have employees that you have to pay as well, because people don't work for free, that's very tough. It's very tough to be experimenting. The money has to be there, otherwise it just won't work. So people are not interested in being in a trial project. Let's see if this works. Let's see. Nah, you won't get paid. And forget that. That's not what it's about. So let's move to segment 2. People matter more than products. One of the biggest surprises of my career was business is rarely about products. Business is about people. People buy from people they trust. People work with people they enjoy. And people refer people who make them feel valued. And that's so true. In my insurance investment industry, it was rarely about the product. It was really about how well I connected with the people and if they trusted me. And they did. I'm very proud of that. Now, over the years, I learned relationships often outlast transactions. And that's true. That's very, very true. Till something happens in your client's life, till a husband or wife comes into the picture. And then, of course, they take over and be the confidant and the advisor, and whether they know something or not, you're out the door. That's really what it is. A lot of people have experienced that. A good relationship can create opportunities years later. Very true. Very, very true if you really have done it by the book. Because a lot of people, if they can't get to their goals, they get ticked off, they they start not doing the right thing with the client, and letting the client, instead of being elegant about it when they can't make a sale, they get mad and their choice of words, and people won't have that. A bad relationship can close doors just as quickly. Well, yeah. I mean, That should be so plain. We shouldn't even be discussing this, but this is the problem out there. But also here, the most important thing, the longer I worked, the more I realized your reputation enters the room before you do. And reputation, folks, this is when, in a Nova case, this person challenges everybody, knows everything better, and is in the position to bring clients in for the company. And you can't fight every fight. It's impossible. And if you keep doing that, people are going to say, don't come in here anymore. We don't want her in here. So they know the company name, and they don't even want anything to do with the company. So this is what the problem is. When you have an employee that steps out of line with their behavior, the company will suffer. And maybe the person will leave at some point, and the company will still have that reputation in the communities and, at various sources. It's very hard to get rid of that reputation. So, what kind of reputation are you building every day? Well, I never thought of it, but polite, helpful, very inventive, and wanting the best for the client, and showing new ways how to get the word out with the smallest amount of money, where you will have the most for your buck, if you will. Not that it's cheap, but where you get the most for your buck. Okay. Let's move to segment 3. Not everyone is meant to travel with you. Now, well, that's a given. This may have been one of the hardest lessons. Yes, I put in a lot of stock when I met a person, having them work with me, inviting them onto my radio and TV programs. And I always give an advance, a trust advance. And then they disappoint me really to the hilt. Not because, and I know not everybody shares my vision, or not everybody shares my work ethic. That's for sure. That's why I work by myself with subcontractors, and nobody works the way I do. I can get things done in a very speedy manner, and that's how I work. I don't dilly-dally. I don't talk about things that need to be changed and talk about it 6 times, and then it's still not done. Those work ethics are unacceptable to me, and I know people like that. So, and not everybody wants what I want. Very true. But I have a certain work ethic. I want to get ahead in life. I want to go somewhere. I want to be able to say, okay, today I have such and such goals to meet, and I met them. And not have the talkers around me and said, oh, it didn't work because of this. Oh, they didn't. No. This is the task. You get it done, whether it's client development. How many clients, how many appointments did you get? What's the status? Don't tell me, oh, it didn't work, and tell me why. So if I can do it, you can do it. And especially if you have been doing something for 30 years. Now, your mind has not changed in 30 years. You have not watched the pulse out there. That's what we have to watch. The pulse of life changes all the time, and we have to adjust our businesses, especially in the service business. It goes actually for all businesses. So, but especially for the service industry. So, sometimes we spend years trying to pull people along. I have done that too. People that I wanted to work with, partners, clients, and friends too. Oh my God. I remember building a business, a nonprofit, for a lady who actually has an animal farm. And I remember when we first applied for the nonprofit status. And I had to rely on her telling me when she got mail from the IRS. And of course, she got mail from the IRS, but I never found out. Or she would let me know a month afterwards. And as you know, everybody has deadlines. So the IRS said, sorry, you missed our deadline, the window of opportunity. We closed our case. We closed your file, Mrs. So-and-so. I don't quite understand that. When I work, I take this very personal. But I don't receive my clients' mails. So if you're not on top of things and I give you instructions more than once, let me know when you get mail so we can respond to it properly. Hey, if you have other priorities or whatever, so the IRS closed the file, then you have to start the process again. That costs another application fee. That's anywhere between $600 and $1,000. So there is no need for that because that's nonsense. So now some people enter your life for a reason. We already know that. Yeah. I actually said it wrong. Some people enter your life for a season. Some for a reason. Yeah, they all do. Very few for the entire journey. Now, I learned that, on a personal level, that nothing is forever, and especially when people are getting married, and when you're just very new in a relationship, and you hear them say that made me very sad. And I even cried. I said, "Why is that?" And it's so true. I heard that at least 30 years ago. Nothing is forever. We only go a little ways together on the path. And that's true. Look at what's happening. Very few go for the entire journey. However, the older generation, they stuck together. Look, if they were real happy or not, but that's not the show here. We're talking about our business journey, our business life, but it's applicable to our personal journey as well. Choosing the right people is often more important than having the perfect business plan. This is the key. We need to choose the right people. The perfect business plan, it's a plan, it's a model, it's a guide, and still your business plan will go differently. So, but choosing the right people, the right employees that are trustworthy, that are not there to steal your money, your clients, or put obstacles in the way. That is so, so important. Or try to run your company. That's another thing. I've had a situation like that too. They try to run your company. How? Because the company was bought out several years ago, and a new owner took on, and they were already there for quite a while. So the previous owner let them just run it. And that culture is not the new owner's culture. So trying to make changes is very, very difficult, but it's going to happen. So again, choosing the right people is often more important than having the perfect business plan. Let's go to segment 4, reinvention never ends. Well, Let me just tell you right up front, you reinvent yourself all your life. Whether you know it or you don't. Oh, I'm just looking for a new job. I'm not saying when you go job hopping. I'm talking about when you had a career for 10, 15 years, and now you're going into something totally new, something you always wanted to pursue, like an electrician, let's just say. And for 15 years, he or she worked for a company as an employee, and now you're opening up your own business. So, yes, you become a boss, and maybe you're hiring people too. So that's part of reinvention. Many people think success means arriving. I have learned success means adapting. Over 4 decades, I have seen industry changes, technology change, marketing change, consumer behavior change, media change, all of these categories. The people who survive are not always the smartest. They are often the most adaptable. And my father always said to me when I was little, you don't have to be the smartest, but you have to know how to help yourself. And being able to adapt to certain situations and help yourself, that's what he was talking about. To be adaptable, he just didn't call it adaptable. He just put it under the one umbrella. You have to be able to help yourself. So, and for that, you have to be adaptable. Dad, you're brilliant. I just didn't recognize it when I was little. How could I? When I went from traditional business models to radio, now that was reinventing myself. From radio to television, again, I reinvented myself. From television to digital media, from local conversations to broader audiences. The learning never stopped. All my life, the learning never stopped. I'm so glad about that. And yes, I am very adaptable. So as long as it's my idea and those are my ideas and I get to execute them, that in itself has been priceless, that I get to implement my thoughts. I'm not a millionaire. I didn't become a millionaire, but I am able to try out everything and anything that I want to do. And that to me, in learning on a big platform, which is called the classroom, life's classroom. I love that. Other people go from 9 to 5, have to give a report, what they did, what they didn't do, and everything. I don't have to do that. Again, I report to myself. And you got to be honest with yourself, because you're responsible for that. The money comes in, new clients, everything. And you can't lie to yourself. Well, how much money did you make this month? Well, so you're responsible. So my personal reflection is I went from traditional business to the models to radio. I said that, right? What happens when you stop growing? I never want to stop growing. That would be the end of everything. Your curiosity dies, everything dies, and you die. You have to have a purpose. The world keeps moving without you. I like to move with the world, you know? So growth is not optional. Growth is survival. So we're almost out of time. If I could summarize 40 years of self-employment in a few thoughts, they would be these. Take responsibility for your life, build relationships, choose people carefully, stay curious, keep growing, be willing to reinvent yourself, and most importantly, don't wait for permission to pursue your vision. Nobody handed me a roadmap. Most entrepreneurs don't get one. We learn by doing. We learn by failing. We learn by adapting. And if we're fortunate, we learn enough to help others along the way. So thank you for joining me on The Business Champion. I'm Mariette Cameron. Till next time.